Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Sports with me, Clive Alvarez. Today I have a very special guest on the show. She's a well-known figure in the state. She's represented Goa and India at the Youth Olympics and the Asian Games in windsurfing. She has won many laureates to herself at a very young age. Well, I recently started following her on Instagram and she's into design and art. But what's more interesting is that what she recently posted where she posted a video where it doesn't seem like it's windsurfing, but it's something else. Well, I would get to know more of it as I talk to her, where I would like to welcome Katya Coelho to the show. Katya, welcome to this.
Thank you. Thank you.
My first question is windsurfing. How did you get into windsurfing? And, can you walk us through how it happened?
Yes. So basically, my father is a windsurfer himself, and that is how I got into the sport. We used to go to watch his nationals when I was younger with my siblings.
Okay.
And one fine day, he took my brother out sailing. And slowly at the age of 11, he taught me how to sail as well. And that's how I was introduced to the sport.
Okay. You said your father coaches you.
Yes.
So how is the relationship between you and your father as a coach and at home?
In terms of is he strict or something?
Yeah, is he strict at home? Or...
So as a father, he's a fabulous father. We get along very well and we even go partying and stuff together.
Oh, wow.
And as a coach, he's the complete opposite. He's a very strict coach. So there are pros and cons of both being my father and my coach, because when he comes home with us, he's still our coach at times, So you can't just laze around and chill around and do what you want. He's still a coach at home as well sometimes. So yeah.
I always ask this question to all the athletes who I interview. Parents always have to back their kids. How important is it for the parents to back their kids into whatever sport they would like to take up? Because many a times you see a lot of children who want to get into sports, they don't get the backing of their parents.
Exactly. I think it has all to do with the parents, to be honest, whatever I am, I consider it only because of my parents and because they've given me the right kind of support, maybe financially or any kind of support.
Yeah.
To take for initially, education is always the main thing for any child, but my parents have taken that risk and let us go into sports, giving more priority than education. So I think that is what really helped us a lot. That is one of the main aspects, your parents' support. It should be the main kind of.
How is your training regimen? How is it like? What do you do?
So we train about maybe 6 to 10 hours in a week. Main focus is training on the water, because the more hours you put in, the more better you can get. And when we are not training on water, we are training at our gym, which is at home itself.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the kind of training that we are doing right now, mostly focusing on our leg muscles currently. So yeah.
And is there a particular diet that you'll have to follow?
Well, yeah, we need to follow a kind of a strict diet. Basically, clean eating is what we are following. Okay. It's not like a very extravagant diet or something that we have to follow, you can only eat this or this. That's not the kind of diet I would suggest also to anyone. I think a balanced meal is the most important thing. And yeah, in India, in Goa, the meals that we get are very wholesome and very balanced and clean. Okay. So that's my diet.
Recently, I've not seen you take part in a lot of events. You used to take part in a lot of events. What happened? Was there a break?
So the reason for my break is because I got really badly injured at the Asian Games in 2018. So I was competing and I had a bad fall in the water itself. Okay. So that kind of caused my right knee to get damaged. I have an ACL tear in my right knee and a meniscus tear as well.
Okay.
So I couldn't compete. I couldn't even walk properly for a couple of days after the fall. And then as soon as I took the MRIs and everything, I realized that I have a very bad injury. So I just focused the 2 years to, kind of developing my muscles and making them stronger. And also because of COVID, there was a break around the world. So it kind of helped me to get back to my usual self.
Okay. Like I said in the intro that you've gotten into, I've seen something very interesting in your Instagram post.
Yes.
Like, it looks like you've gotten into something different. What is it? Like, can you just explain it to us?
So this is something India has never seen before. It's a very, very, very rare sport in India.
Okay.
It's called windfoiling. So
Okay.
it's basically an upgrade of windsurfing.
All right.
And the main difference being the hydrofoil. So it has a 2 meters to 3 meters long hydrofoil on the board
Okay.
instead of a fin.
Okay.
So the normal windsurfing board would have something called a fin.
All right.
But this is a hydrofoil, and it kind of, with the wind force and impact, it kind of lifts above the water.
Okay.
So you're kind of elevating above the surface now. So that's what it is.
Why did you decide to get into windfoiling?
Because windfoiling is now the new Olympic sport. Windsurfing is over. It's finished, you know, sadly. I mean, there will be windsurfing events, but this is the main event now. Windfoiling is the main sport now. It's an upgrade to windsurfing. So that's what it is.
Just
and that is why I took it up.
Okay, like, I didn't know about this. I think now you recently got into it, and a lot of people will ask you, do you have to like repeat this again, like tell them again and again, like this is so and so?
Yes, but it's nice that people are interested in my sport. It's nice to know that people are like looking at what we are doing, and it's nice to spread awareness of this beautiful sport. You know, Goa has a very vast coastline.
Okay.
And we're not really focusing on kind of promoting sports like this, like kayaking and windsurfing and stuff like this, because these are water sports that are really friendly, you know, to the environment. We're not using any kind of motor or any kind of petrol or anything like that to keep moving, you know. We are moving only like with the force of nature, with wind. So I think we really need to promote stuff like this, and that is why I take it on my, like, you know, on social media and stuff to promote more of this.
How difficult is windfoiling? What are the pros and cons of it?
So for me, I consider windfoiling actually easier than windsurfing. Windsurfing requires a lot of physical strength.
Okay.
And being both a windfoiler and a windsurfer, I kind of feel that windfoiling is easier.
Being a woman, there must be a lot of challenges, right?
Well, being a man or a woman, there are challenges in any kind of sport. It requires the same kind of dedication and hard work. So yeah. But being a woman, the only setback is there are not a lot of other competitors that are women in the sport. So sometimes I'm forced to take part in the men's category if at all I need to race. So yeah, so I've been sailing with in the men's category for the past few years, and I've also won the nationals in the men's category as well. So yeah,
that's a huge achievement.
Thank you.
Let's talk a bit about your gear. Can you like tell us about the gear of like?
Yeah. So basically windsurfing in general, why I think it's not very famous in India or in most of the countries, I think, is because the gear itself is extremely expensive. So it's not like the other sports where you need to, like, you know, just get the basic expense. You know, the equipment itself, like the one I'm sailing on, the IQ foil, it's about 7 to 8 lakhs.
Okay.
So I mean, you really need to have that kind of money to start the sport. Of course, a beginner board or something is comparatively much cheaper, but still, it's not something everybody could afford. And it's sad that, you know, it is how it is.
Being on the water, I mean, how does it feel being in the water and just, you know, foiling away?
You know, it gives me a really great sense of freedom, just being alone by myself in the water, you know, just being so close to nature, because this sport, it really like grounds you, you know, because you're moving with only the forces of nature. You're moving with the wind, you're moving with the waves, and, you know, it's just like an amazing feeling. And it kind of makes you conscious about your environment, and like it makes you want to give back more to nature, because it's so beautiful, just like sailing out there with like the dolphins and everything. It's just an amazing feeling.
Besides windsurfing and windfoiling, what else do you do? What else do you like?
So I'm very drawn towards art. Art is something that's always been a part of me. So I am also a graphic designer. So basically taking my art to the next, like, you know, somewhere how I could kind of turn it into a career would be doing different forms of design. So I am a graphic designer. I'm also a fashion designer.
Okay.
So I'm kind of exploring those kind of fields right now.
Now, say suppose as a beginner, I want to start windsurfing. Let's say windsurfing. Forget about windfoiling.
Okay.
How many days would I take as a beginner, like to?
It would take you 3 to 7 days to get the hang of it and to actually start sailing. In 3 days, you would be up on the board, and in 7 days, you would know like the basics of the sport. So it doesn't take very long actually.
And for wind foiling, how many?
For wind foiling, it would just take you an extra couple of days to kind of figure out the equipment. More than anything, you need to have a proper sense of balance when you're on the water. And that's about it. You know, it looks very scary and intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's just beautiful.
Okay. You won so many laureates to your name already. Now, what is next for you? What do you plan on doing next?
So I've just finished with my nationals. That was at Hawaii Beach, Donapaula recently. The next competition I'm looking at right now is the Asian Sailing Trials, Asian Games Trials, sorry, which will be held in Bombay. And I have 2 events back to back. One is the nationals and then is the Asian Games Trials. So this is all in the 2nd week of May. So that's going to be a hectic month for me in terms of racing, because it's going to be 10 days of continuous racing. Yeah. So which really takes a toll on you, you know, but I'm looking forward to it.
You've been surfing for a long time now. Have you all received any support from the government?
So this is a very sensitive topic, but
we have to touch it sometime.
We have to, yes. But no, we haven't really received any kind of financial support, to say the least. It is an expensive sport, and it's all been backed up by my dad's personal resources. So like if my father wasn't basically able to afford it, I don't think we would achieve anything. So yeah, we've not really received much.
Is there any request you would like to give the government from this medium?
So if anyone watching this is in charge of the decisions to be made like this, I would really request the kind of help we would require, you know, because this sport is an expensive sport. We need the right kind of financial assistance. We need the right kind of international exposure as well, because in India, it's just a handful of sailors. But when you sail abroad with like hundreds of more athletes, you really know where you stand. And that's how you can actually achieve, you know, better for our state and for our country. So, yes.
Katya, say suppose if newcomers want to come in, where would they like, you know, get training and stuff?
So the best place to learn windsurfing is in Donapaul, Hawaii Beach, because we don't have a lot of like waves, like big waves compared to the Baga Beach. And that is where I learned myself. We used to conduct summer camps every April and May to kind of, you know, give back to the sport and teach new children and how to learn and how to get into this. So as far as I know, I think Goa Yachting Association also has summer camps that kind of focuses on newcomers. Yeah.
So how many tournaments take place in Goa, or you know, for sailing?
We have like one big regatta, that is the nationals every year. Sometimes it's more than one. Like we have state championships on and off. That's about it.
You've been coached by your father. So suppose if not your father, then where?
I really don't know, because I mean, my father got into this sport just by like, he was actually with his friend on the beach, and his friend, I would like to mention his name, Charlie, Herbert Rodriguez actually. So he started windsurfing, and I really don't know how he got into it. I think it was, you know, I'm talking about maybe 25, 30 years back, where there were foreigners and everyone was like, you know, in Baga. So the foreigners used to like get equipment and they used to go out sailing. And I think that's how Charlie picked it up. And then my dad picked it up from there. So then he finally managed to buy some equipment and everything. And that is how we got into it.
Your brother also is a windsurfer, right?
Yes.
And your sister as well?
Yes. So my brother, he's 1 year older than me. He's 23. He's a well-accomplished windsurfer himself. And my sister just started this last nationals she took part. She's the youngest of the lot, although she started when she was 5, but then she didn't really take up to competitive sailing. But yeah, so now all 3 of us are in this.
Have you competed with your brother? You said you compete in the national, in the men's category, but have you competed with your brother?
Thankfully not, because he's really good. But jokes apart, no, I haven't, because he's always competed in a level much higher to his. He's always competed. He's like, most of the times he's also been like the youngest. You know, he's competing with the army guys right now in the RSX category, being the only civilian amongst all of them. So he's always competed in a higher category than his age group. Like when he was 17 or 18, he would have to compete in like maybe an RS1, but that wasn't very challenging for him. So he used to compete in the RSX category.
Okay. What's your message for the younger generation looking up, wanting to get into sailing or windfoiling?
So this is a message in general. It's not just about windsurfing or like, anything like that. But if you really like something, I think you should go and like just get it, like if you really like something and if something keeps you motivated, like it can be anything like reading or jogging or running, or it can be anything, something that keeps you motivated and something you really like doing. If you can turn that around into a career path, that's nothing like it. And if you do that, you're basically never working a day in your life. Like what I'm doing right now is I've taken two of my hobbies, that is art and sailing, and I've really worked it around. So one keeps me fit and the other one like kind of I'm earning through it.
Yeah.
So if you kind of take a few of your hobbies and try to turn it around, it can actually be the best thing for you.
Well, that was the interview part. And now it's time for some action where Katya Coelho will explain to us how she rigs her equipment. So we are at the Hawaii beach at Dona Paula where Katya has just assembled her equipment and she will be explaining it to us. Katya, over to you.
Hi. So this is my sail. It's a 8-meter sail and this is my foil board. So this is the new board that's come out from Starboard. This is the Olympic class and I can just walk you through it basically. So the main difference, what you can see is the whole show behind. So this is the hydrofoil and this is how it kind of stays above the water. So we've got this and this entire thing going on here. So with the help of the wind pressure and with the help of the wind pressure, this kind of elevates over the surface of the water, and you will see what I'll be doing out today. About the sail, there's not a lot of changes. Of course, like the aerodynamics have changed a bit because the sail has not changed much, just a bit in terms of like the way it looks and everything. It's much more narrow on top.
As Katya has finished rigging up her equipment, now it's time for her to get in the waters. Let's watch how she trains. Well, that was Katya Coelho for you here. We wish her all the best from Team Prudent side. We'll keep getting stories of athletes every week. Till then, keep watching Prudent.